Venus joins Mars in the passionate and regal sign of Leo on Monday, June 5th. Here, the goddess of beauty, love, and desire will spend 4 months retrograding in late July, making us examine our talents, our gifts and desires, reevaluate what's important to us, and ask whether we feel valued and recognized. Let's take a closer look at Venus in Leo and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you'd like to work with me, check out the links down below. You can book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. And if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button, leave me a like or a comment. It appreciates it. I really appreciate the support, and it helps YouTube algorithm put my videos in front of more people, so helps my channel grow. Thank you so much for that. Before we dive in, I wanted to let you know that Venus will go retrograde between July 22nd and September 3rd. And as Venus retrograde, romantic topics can become a lot more complicated and fraught with challenges and kind of difficulties, right? So I would highly recommend checking out my Venusian creations, which are candles and oils that were created with Venus empowered, direct, with the moon growing. So they have a lot of ability to ease your life and make romantic or creative matters just more constructive, right? Because during the retrograde, it's really easy to feel confused and relationships can feel uncertain. So having some universal support from the universe can be really lovely. This is my Moonlit Trinity candle. I also have an oil version of it. It smells like strawberries and cream. It's pink. And this one is lovely for anyone with Venus in earth or water signs. So that would be Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer, because Venus is in Taurus here. And so is the moon. It has both empowered moon and Venus. And if your Venus is an air or fire sign, which is Aries, Sag, Leo, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra, you might go for Venus Cazimi for those in existing relationships, and Venus in Libra for those trying to manifest one, because these have empowered Venus in Libra as well, direct. And this one has the moon waxing, growing, which means it's good for manifestation. This one has the moon waning, which is more about being in a relationship you're already in. Thank you for that. You can find them on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, in the shop category. So Venus is going into Leo. I have a video I did last year about Venus in Leo. I'm going to touch on it briefly, but mostly talk about the 4 months. It's such a big deal to have Venus in a sign for 4 months. Normally it's about like 3 weeks, speeds through, done, on to the next one. Here we have a very long stay of Venus in Leo. In general, Venus is the planet of desire. It's the planet of attraction. It's the planet of harmony, connection, and love. It describes things we find beautiful. It describes what we desire. It describes how we get along with people, right? Like, I'm ruled by Venus. I love Venus, can talk about her for a long time. But it's definitely the planet of accord. And when Venus is placed in a sign other than the sign Venus rules, which is Taurus or Libra, she has to behave in accord to the rules of that sign. So here we have Venus entering Leo. Leo is the sign of the sun. So there is that royalty, there is that desire to be visible, right? The sun shines, so people with Venus and Leo often shine. So on a collective level, or like on a personal level, we may feel more drawn to express ourselves, to be more visible. I always feel when Venus in Leo, the strong desire to take selfies and just sort of appreciate myself a lot more. So if you have natally, if you have Venus in a more complicated place, you might notice the change. Also, let me know what sign and house is your natal Venus in. I'd be curious. So we might become more expressive, we might choose bolder colors, we might choose bolder makeup, bolder outfits, right? Go out more, be more creative, talk about ourselves a little bit more, take more risks, right? On the negative, of course, Venus will be in Leo together with Mars, definitely like for the whole June, and I think Mars leaves Leo on June 10th. So July 10th. So they travel together the entire month of June, which could be passionate in some regards, but it could also be dramatic. Like there could definitely be some tensions around, look at me, you know, I want all of your attention, give me more compliments. And of course, if a partner is aware of your need for compliments and if you're honest with expressing what you desire to them, this could be a lovely kind of constructive period of getting more attention and admiration. But be aware that, you know, kind of the need to be on top or the need to get all the spotlight is the more shadow side of Leo. And check out the video I did about Venus and Leo. I talk about the general significations a lot more. Definitely is lovely for being in the spotlight, for expressing yourself, for kind of taking risks and speaking in front of people. The general transit lasts 4 months, like I said, from June 5th until October 8th. The retrograde period is between July 22nd and September 3rd. The shadow period begins on June 19th, actually. So even though Venus doesn't go retrograde for a while, she will be in her shadow period phase starting June 19th. So you may kind of already start feeling the questions connected to retrograde. And what are those, right? We'll talk a lot more about Venus being retrograde in July, so next month. But the retrograde period tends to make us question Venusian things. It's the time Venus is in the underworld, kind of moving backwards, asking a lot of questions, feeling pressures, feeling unsure. You know, like if you've been doing something, if you've been dating someone, when Venus is retrograde, you may look back and rethink the relationship and be like, is this what I want? Is this the project that I want? So it could be a true test for new relationships, right? It could be the time when you are going through a harder period. It's interesting because I started a relationship about 9 months ago and I am going away when Venus is retrograde. So I think it's going to be literally, you know, like as a Venus ruled person, I'm going backwards for a month to a place I was last year. And it's like a challenge for a relationship to be apart for a long time. So this could be like a literal example, right? Like relationship tensions or relationship challenges connected to definitely gonna bring this baby with me. Moonlit Trinity, love it a lot. I love all of my candles, but like I said, you know, some of them smell extra special. So confusion around love, confusion around creativity, feeling kind of lost, feeling uninspired, doubting yourself, doubting your gifts and talents. Do not shy away from confusion. Do not try to push the answer if you're in a relationship and things are going a bit rough. Maybe it's the time to ask those important questions and feel uncertain for a little bit. There's nothing wrong with taking things slower or trying to figure out what you desire. So the retrograde period, like I said, July 22nd until September 3rd, could be more complicated. Venus will retrograde from 28 degrees Leo into 12 degrees Leo. So if you have planets between 12 to 28 degrees fixed signs, which would be Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio, you may feel this retrograde stronger, especially when Venus is making aspects to your planets. I do have a horoscope subscription, which means I write horoscopes based on your natal chart, giving you all of those dates. If you'd like to become a subscriber, visit my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com, to do that. So Venus like I said, stays in Leo for 4 months. It's co-present with Mars this month in June. And it's interesting because normally they would be conjoining, because Venus is retrograding, she's slowing down, so she's getting closer to Mars. But then it's like, you know, two characters on a TV show. They get introduced and they hang out, and there's tension, there's kind of chemistry between them. But then right before they're about to kiss, an ex comes into the picture, and like she or he, let's say it's a girl, her ex comes into the picture and she needs to go and deal with that. So there might be a bit of that energy this month romantically, if you have someone in your life, if there is someone you're interested in, where maybe you are coming closer, but then you need to take a step back and rethink matters. Some of the important dates to note: between June 5th and 8th, Venus will be opposing Pluto. And that reads as drama, power struggles, obsessive compulsive feelings. So there might be that need to be right, to get your point across, to force someone's hand, to come on too strong. You know, like if you're in a relationship, it's like, I have to tell them how I feel right now, and maybe their mother is in the hospital, and like, you know, you should wait, try to be patient, try to like breathe through it. Venus will square Jupiter 3 times, June 11th this month, August 22nd, September 17th. And Venus in a square to Jupiter can actually, on one hand, it could be partying, getting out of control. But on the other hand, it could also be the time when you find some answers, right? Jupiter tries to teach, tries to empower. So Jupiter is in Taurus. It has a bit more stabilizing effect. So when things get complicated during the retrograde, we still have a bit of kind of Jupiter shines his rays of support and optimism on us. The more difficult aspects are July 2nd, August 9th, and September 29th, and that is Venus squaring Uranus. So that reads as relationship shakeups, more difficult, more disruptive, more surprises in relationships, like finding out your partner has a gambling problem, or getting in a fight about needing more independence, feeling kind of restricted somehow. Be on the lookout that you're not just forcing things and you're not just doing drama for the sake of drama, because like I said, this could be a more challenging side of this transit. So let's take a look at Venus through the signs, and I will briefly mention the retrograde, but more on the retrograde is to come next month. So if you are an Aries rising, Venus is entering your 5th house for the next 4 months. 5th house is the place of joy. Actually, before I even go into Aries rising, Venus works an 8-year-long cycle. So Venus would have been last retrograde in the summer 2015. So if you're trying to see how your relationships and your creativity and your life will be affected, reflect back on summer 2015. Okay. Now, if you are an Aries rising, Venus is entering your 5th house of romance, creativity, joy, and children for 4 months. And this is lovely. Venus rejoices in the 5th house. It's her house joy. It's the place of fun, and she likes fun. So this could be a very inspired period. This could be new projects. Maybe you take up dancing. Maybe you meet someone and start dating them, right? But then, of course, when Venus goes retrograde between July 22nd, September 3rd, maybe you need to rethink a relationship. Maybe an ex shows up in your life that needs your attention, and you are sort of questioning your current romantic interest and romantic pursuits. Maybe you're starting a creative project, and the retrograde period will be when you are rethinking your strategy or rethinking your color palette and, you know, kind of reinventing some things. You may feel really inspired, at least at first, right? The retrograde could be a bit more tricky. And you may enjoy spending more time with children. This could be a very kind of active period in terms of socializing and hanging out with kids. If you are a Taurus rising, Venus is entering your 4th house of home and family and living situation for 4 months. This could be beautiful in terms of doing creative work from home. Maybe you're even getting more recognition. You're getting to shine in your home environment, throwing more parties, being a good host, redecorating, adding some kind of bold, beautiful elements into your home. Of course, when Venus goes retrograde between July 22nd and September 3rd, this might be the time when you start to question your place of living, start to question your family dynamics. Maybe your decor needs to be redone or reconsidered, right? Because Venus in Leo really wants to be recognized. It wants to be appreciated. You may start to feel and question whether you A, appreciate the home you live in, or B, whether you feel appreciated as a family member or appreciated as a child, right? Or as a partner. So there might be a bit of like a need to address those questions. And maybe reshape your physical space, reshape your home. If you are a Gemini rising, Venus is entering your 3rd house of communication, siblings, short trips, writing, skills, hobbies, schedule for 4 months, blessing those areas, right? In some ways, this could be very inspired. This could be a great way to express yourself through writing, through blogging, through YouTubing, very kind of supportive energy to intellectual pursuits. You may enjoy smoother relationships with siblings, smoother kind of connections with people in the neighborhood. Maybe you're getting to show up in the neighborhood in some way. Like maybe you start to, host meditations in your local community center. I don't know. Something like that, right? Like you're becoming more visible. Of course, when Venus is going retrograde between July 22nd and September 3rd, you may need to reevaluate those matters. If you've been blogging and YouTubing and writing, this could be the time to take a step back and revise, redo, rethink. Maybe you hit a wall in terms of ideas and you need to go back to the beginning and ask yourself, what's the reason you started this channel or this blog? There might also, relationships with siblings might become a bit more confusing, and you need to figure out whether you feel appreciated for all the work you've done for them, and do not shy away from having honest conversations. And we'll talk about the retrograde period more when we get there. If you are a Cancer rising, Venus is entering your 2nd house of money and values for 4 months on June 5th. And this could be very exciting, right? Venus in the 2nd house. Before that, you only had Mars there. For the last couple of weeks, Mars has been there. So maybe you've been burning through cash, or maybe there's been financial conflicts, issues related to money. And now Venus going there, it could actually smooth things. It could encourage you to spend more, but it can also be a source of gifts where other people are bringing you gifts, other people are supporting you, encouraging you, kind of honoring you through the gifts, right? It could be the time when you're more interested in spending on beauty and more interested in spending on fashion and making money through those matters, through Venusian matters, women, beauty, fashion, love, consulting, sales, anything like that can be like really highlighted. In general, I think this would be a good period for your finances. Of course, when we get to the retrograde next month, you may feel like you need to rethink whether your current job is worth your time, whether you feel valued and appreciated. There might be certain challenges surrounding money. In general, just try to be careful making really big purchases, because when the retrograde happens, you may have to return them. Especially, actually, be careful making purchases during the retrograde. Before the retrograde, it's more safe. But yeah, like making really big financial decisions during the retrograde they don't always stick. So yeah, like questioning your spending habits, needing to rethink finances, needing to rethink your values could be important during the retrograde. If you are a Leo rising, Venus is about to go in your first house for 4 months. So 4 months you'll be Venus. You'll get a chance to shine. You'll get a chance to be more visible. Your appeal will grow. Your magnetism will grow. What not to like, right? So positives are definitely great in terms of self-expression, in terms of creativity. Initially, the first few days between June 5th and 8th could be tough romantically because of the opposition to Pluto. So be mindful that you're not just trying to get your way over the other person's way, trying to compromise. But yeah, like lovely for creative procedures, especially the direct phase. Lovely for beauty procedures, creative kind of projects, romantic relationships can all be highlighted at this time. The retrograde is, of course, more complicated. I would avoid any beauty procedures during the retrograde. So nothing, don't, if you absolutely have to do it, but just be mindful that some of the work you do during the retrograde might need to be redone. And the retrograde is July 22nd until September 3rd. Maybe during the retrograde, you will question your appearance, you will question your beauty routine, your self-expression, your image you project in the world, and could be the time when you feel a bit insecure, but really need to take action and like not necessarily super proactive action, but go look within and see what is it that truly makes you happy and what makes you feel valued could be important. If you are a Virgo rising, Venus is about to go in your 12th house for 4 months. And this could be a sign of your love life shifting behind the scenes. Maybe you're dating someone, but you're being really private about it for the entire 4 months. There might be a new crush coming into your atmosphere. someone exciting, someone from the past, potentially, especially during the retrograde. But yeah, love life could be more private. You may be creative, but more behind the scenes. There is a danger of dating people who are unavailable and dating people who are not necessarily good for you, or who are somehow, already in a relationship or kind of crushing on someone who is not so good for you. So be mindful of that. When Venus goes retrograde between July 22nd and September 3rd, you may have to be really honest with yourself about your own self-defeating tendencies and, habits that are maybe holding you back. Might be the time when you have to review some past relationships and kind of be more introspective about who you date. Any creative projects will also need to be addressed and thought through more carefully. If you are a Libra rising, you are ruled by Venus. So Venus is extra important for you, and she's about to go into your 11th house of friendships and networks and social media, hopes and dreams for 4 months. So this is important, right? Venus in the 11th is really good for creative self-expression. It's good for putting yourself in front of people. You will be more charming in a social context, and more kind of your light will shine when you're hanging out with other people and hanging out with groups. Could also be the time when you're pursuing your dreams and starting some kind of creative project. I know I'm about to start working on a serious project that's probably going to take the entirety of Venus and Leo. And then, of course, when Venus goes retrograde between July 22nd and September 3rd, you may literally go backwards to something. You may go back to a project, to a friendship, to an idea. Might be the time when your progress gets stalled and you need to rethink certain things. And perhaps just be more flexible, be more adaptable, and be more willing to see things from a different perspective. when it comes to friendships, when it comes to groups of people you connect to, and your projects. If you are a Scorpio rising, Venus is about to go into your 10th house of career, and that is exciting. You had Mars here since late March, and Mars is active. Mars could have inspired some progress, new professional ideas, maybe urged you to be more proactive. Now Venus goes in and she helps you be proactive but still be charming. So Venus in the 10th house will really focus on doing work that is enjoyable. It will focus on doing creative work or Venusian type of work, which is beauty, fashion, love, marriage connection, sales, anything like that. So you can definitely see more joy when it comes to that. Dating someone you work with is also a possibility. And then when Venus goes retrograde, which we'll talk about more next month, but Venus goes retrograde between July 22nd and September 3rd, your professional progress can stall a little bit. The work you've been doing will need another look, will need another attention, more attention, right? And maybe some professional aspirations. It could be literally like you're starting a business and you have forward momentum and things seem to be going. And then when Venus goes retrograde, your partner decides not to do it, or your style guide comes back with issues, and you're sort of rethinking what you're trying to accomplish and rethinking the motivation behind it. So be ready to be more flexible, especially when Venus goes retrograde. If you are a Sagittarius rising, Venus is about to enter your 9th house for 4 months. This is positive, right? The retrograde is a bit more confusing, but initially Venus in the 9th house is lovely for travel. It's lovely for learning. It's lovely for expanding your world. Maybe you're going on an adventure and you're meeting a foreigner and you like start this beautiful romance. Now, of course, when Venus goes retrograde between July 22nd and September 3rd, your romance can become more complicated. It could be the time when you're taking a step back. Maybe you have to travel back. Maybe you have to kind of reconsider your beliefs, reconsider your attraction to this person, and also just like ask a question of whether there's long-term potential. If you're involved in any legal battles or education kind of projects, those could be more drawn out. But initially, from June 5th until July 22nd, this could be a really great time to learn something about sexuality, put yourself out there, connect with people who are different than you, and maybe study something exciting. If you are a Capricorn rising, Venus is about to enter your 8th house for 4 months. The first few days between June 5th and 8th could be shaky. There could be financial disagreements, power struggles around money and values, who has more control in a relationship, who's more in charge, so be mindful of that. But once that clears, you have Venus in your 8th house for 4 months, which could be positive in a lot of ways, right? The retrograde is tricky, but before the retrograde, you have opportunities to partner up with people, kind of start joint ventures. Venus in the 8th is lovely for kind of working with other people to form like synthesis, or to maybe come up with a unique style that you wouldn't have come up with on your own. Financially, this could be beneficial for you or your partner, because Venus in the 8th could also represent partners' resources. Maybe, they're making more money, maybe they're more generous with you. A lot of opportunities, a lot of resources can be coming from other people right now. And your partner's finances can improve. And then when Venus goes retrograde, we'll talk about it next month, but that could be the period in which you are really questioning the dynamics in a partnership. You're questioning whether you feel appreciated, whether you feel like things are fair, and financially also, whether you feel appreciated and compensated appropriately, or something needs to change. If you are an Aqua rising, Venus is about to go into your house of love, partnerships, and business for 4 months. And this is exciting. It's fun to have Venus there. If you're single, she can definitely bring a new romance. If you're in a relationship, this could be the time of smoother romance. At least in the first few days are rough. June 5th until June 8th, complicated because Venus opposes Pluto. So watch out for power struggles, watch out for ego battles with your partner. But then from approximately June 8th, 9th until July 22nd, when Venus retrograde begins, your relationship life should be a lot smoother. And there might be a lot more opportunities to start a business or to start a business or to date, basically, to, commit, to partner up. When Venus goes retrograde, we'll talk about it more next month, your relationship can become more complicated. There's definitely more potential for challenges and disagreements and sort of having old battles and maybe asking whether this relationship is what you truly want or whether you're in it because it just feels comfortable. Especially when it comes to, do you feel seen? Do you feel appreciated? Do you feel recognized, both in business or romantic partnership? Those would be very important questions. Finally, if you are a Pisces rising, Venus is about to enter your 6th house for 4 months, which is beneficial for health matters. This could be the time when you're making positive adjustments to your everyday life. Maybe you're changing your diet, maybe you're changing your exercise, maybe you're finding ways to take care of your everyday life and hassles and duties, but do so creatively and with more joy. It could also be the time when you get more recognized for your ability to problem solve and for your ability to do duties and kind of handle matters. Not, of course, the first couple of days, June 5th into 8th, could be difficult because Venus opposes Pluto. So you might actually get into some fights about not feeling seen or not feeling appreciated. But as Venus goes direct between like June 8th and July 22nd, relationships with colleagues could improve, your health could improve. There might be more joy in the everyday life. Of course, you may also be a bit more willing to let things slide, which is not the worst thing. But when Venus goes retrograde between July 22nd and September 3rd, this could be the time when you're looking at the way you handle duties, you're looking at your space and maybe needing to declutter, maybe needing to rethink health matters, maybe needing to rethink whether you like the job that you're doing, especially if you don't feel appreciated or recognized for the work that you do. So could be an important period for making small and positive adjustments to your everyday life. And if initially during the retrograde you feel uncertain, let that uncertainty pass. So this is it. Thank you for listening. I hope you're excited for Venus in Leo. I am. We've done retrogrades. We have Venus retrogrades every 18 months. So do not fear. We'll get through this one and it's going to be great. Enjoy. I'll talk to you soon.